I personally think that this epic deal that Disney made is not only a large part of why I think future projections for Disney are actually up, but it showed me something really interesting about the Disney IP itself. Something that I think is, maybe people are missing this. I don't think Wall Street is missing this, but let's talk about it. So first, let's play this trailer. Let's kind of contextualize what we're even talking about here.
Place.
There we go.
Where magic is epic.
I wonder how long ago this was made, too. Kind of interesting, huh? Soon-ish. How long ago do you think this was made? Because it's kind of interesting. Like, it has some stuff from some of the actual animation and movies, right? But then it also has stuff that Epic made, but it just uses, like, footage from Fortnite, which is kind of interesting because, I mean, I suppose it'll probably end up looking a lot like Fortnite. And Epic, of course, is, you know, most known for Fortnite, and Fortnite is maybe the largest video game on the planet. Huge way that Disney has utilized their IP already in Fortnite. And yeah, so they're doing some kind of, I mean, to me, it feels like it's a metaverse kind of a thing, right? Fortnite is already almost like a digital world and a digital space. I mean, there's obviously the Battle Royale, but with the advent of like the Epic game engine thing, you can make different kind of games within Fortnite, like survival games or puzzle games, etc., etc. Fortnite also recently did a deal where they brought Rocket League, like the actual people that make Rocket League, into making content for Fortnite. So there's like a racing mode in Fortnite. They have a Lego mode in Fortnite. So Fortnite has already kind of become like a pseudo metaverse thing. And what I mean by that is the Ready Player One thing. That's really what it is. You know, it's not like some of the weird stuff that you saw in the early on stages where everybody was claiming to be able to build the next metaverse. But this is like a sort of game / social hangout / place where you could make purchases. It's like a marketplace, a social hub, and also a place to play video games. Fortnite kind of already like that, okay? When I look at this image here, right, and I see a sort of Disney kind of park that then is connected to, this looks like the actual Disney castle or something like that. Over here you have like Marvel and Lucasfilm. I'm not really sure what you have over here. Is this like Avatar land or something like that? And then you got like some lands in the background. You can see some ships and whatnot. This is probably just a concept that art that they recently created. But Disney has invested $1.5 billion to have an actual stake in Epic Games and to create this hub and this place together, okay? Now, the reason that I think this is so cool, beyond just the fact that it's tapping into, you know, games and social and where this is all headed, it made me think, and it made me realize that the Disney IP, Marvel and Star Wars mostly, but I guess you could say Avatar. I mean, Avatar is huge, right? That IP is very valuable, okay? And there was a part of thinking through to the end game of this, right? If you think about Ready Player One, like the actual movie or like the actual place, like plugging in, right? What's it called? The Oasis? You think about that. I would argue, despite maybe any or all of your feelings towards Disney currently, you would probably still want to interact with characters, worlds, technology, devices that is native to that IP. Meaning you would want to have a hangout session with Iron Man. You'd want to have an Iron Man costume, suit. You'd want to have a lightsaber. You'd want those things. And you'd probably want those things absent of all of the personal feelings you have about what Disney's doing in their shows and movies. And I had that thought because Fortnite itself has actually handled this IP arguably better than even Disney themselves, especially like within the shows and movies. So just, as an example, right? Like Star Wars, we all know what's going on with Star Wars. We know, the difficulties of Book of Boba Fett, Kenobi, and just the general divided nature of the Star Wars audience. When a Star Wars show comes out, you've got kind of a mixed bag and you've got mixed reactions online. But I wonder how many of you that actually have those issues, right? People like Jessica, maybe. How many of you would then go to enjoy this IP as it is handled by Epic? What I mean is, if you don't like Kenobi, I didn't like Kenobi, but I love Kenobi in Fortnite. Meaning, like, I go into Fortnite, right? And, dude, the Kenobi, the lightsabers, the way it's handled, it's, like, really fun. And I enjoy Kenobi, and I enjoy Luke Skywalker being in there. I enjoy Darth Maul. I enjoy, like, finding Darth Vader on the map. I don't know how many of you guys have that experience, but I enjoyed the Star Wars shit in Fortnite immensely. Immensely. But it's also separate and absent from how I'm engaging with that IP through like the content right? And it's like, yo, even Marvel, like, think about this, Iron Man dead since Endgame. No real Iron Man in the MCU, but you can get an Iron Man suit, you can do fun Iron Man stuff in Fortnite, and it's still enjoyable. Like, your enjoyment of that thing is not really predicated on how the content's actually releasing like now. And so I had this thought because, look, I cover Marvel and Star Wars more or less for a job for the past 6 years. So I've been there for the highs, I've been there for the lows, and I totally understand that Disney itself has kind of like fucked up a little bit when it comes to their big IP. Like, that's just, I think that's a fair statement, right? The handling of Star Wars, the handling of Marvel, you can look at all sorts of trends, you can look at all kinds of numbers, and I think that's just a fair statement. They haven't handled the IP very well as far as through movies and television. But I was kind of shocked when I thought about this idea and how my enjoyment of this IP just instantly sort of scales beyond what they're actually doing in the movies and shows. And it kind of like reminded me in a weird way that the IP itself is more valuable and just bigger than even like Kevin Feige and Kathleen Kennedy. Do you know what I mean? Like, Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige are in control of this IP for now. But long after they're gone, or even just a little bit after they're gone, that IP will continue to be valuable and I think continue to provide a lot of fun experiences for the consumer. I just had this moment. It felt like an epiphany where I was like, dude, you might not get everybody to go watch the next Marvel thing. Like, you might not. Like, it might be to a degree broken as far as under Feige, with those same people, with those same actresses, with this same storyline, with the multiversal stuff. There's like a lot of maybe pain point for the consumer just enjoying the content as it is delivered through the studio. Same thing with Disney. Pain points. I don't think those pain points exist for this game and for game in general. Like, does anybody get where I'm going with this? Like, does anybody understand the point that I'm trying to make? And I wonder if you feel the same. Like, if you're, I guess the best people to ask would be the people that are the most butthurt about Disney and their handling of the IP, right? Like, who among you is the most butthurt about it? Like, who's the most haterish of current Disney and their handling of the IP? Yeah, let's see what Jessica thinks. You know what, Jessica? By the end of this stream, you and I might become friends. Wouldn't that be crazy? Yeah, what do you think? Are there some, like, real talk, like, are some of you guys out there and you're like, no, I really don't, like, I'm not going to go see the next thing. I'm not going to go see but you'd probably still fly an X-Wing around in Fortnite, right? Right? Or, like, are you so, like, I would just argue the number of people that are butthurt to the point that they would rob themselves of a good time with said IP, I think is pretty low, especially if it doesn't come from the studios. What if Ray is flying it? Yeah, I mean, you'd probably have some people getting triggered, but I just don't think it, for some reason, this is the only way that I can explain it. Maybe I'm not articulating it the best because I'm super triggered, but what I'm trying to say is, as somebody who's like just been in this space, and I have a feel for how different folks feel about this IP. right? Just through existing on Twitter and social media, through comment sections, through live streams, through getting super triggered at Jessica. Like, I have a feeling, I have some concept of what that's like and how it motivates consumer behavior. And I feel like this leapfrogs all of that. Does that make sense? So when I had that thought, I was like, oh my God, a lot of this stuff is potentially just a blip on the radar, right? So the other element to this, and this is where it kind of gets like even more interesting. Have you guys seen the sort of the floor tile thing that the Disney Imagineers are working on right now? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Let me see if I can pull it up. When you see this, and we're going to talk about the Apple Vision Pro as well. So look at this.
Not me, but really good dancers. So there's just so many applications for this type of technology, and we don't know yet where it will be used.
Oh, yeah? I would argue they do know where it will be used. And I think they know exactly what they're doing. So, you know, you just walk with me on this, okay? So you've got $1.5 billion being invested into Epic to create a new social hub / game / marketplace with Bob. You know what? Bob had there's a little interview. Maybe we should watch this. And then this is an example too. Not to get super triggered, but here, let me just show you why I got super. Again, we're talking about an incredible jump on the stock price and a lot of excitement from investors. The cope is real. Disney board tries to save their asses. You got new rock stars in there, you know. Shareholder meeting disaster. Bro, what? Like, I don't know. That's part of the reason why I got super triggered. But I think this is the clip right here.
Investment and partnership you're making?
Yes, we've entered into a strategic relationship with Epic Games, the maker of Fortnite, to not only invest in company Epic, a minority stake, $500 million investment, but we're also creating with them a huge Disney universe that will be for gaming, for play, for watching, and even for shopping, for digital goods and maybe ultimately physical goods that will live alongside Fortnite, but completely interconnected with. And this represents probably our biggest foray into the game space ever, which I think is not only timely, but an important step when you look at the demographic trends and you look at where Gen Alpha
this part's
Gen
really
Z,
important. Check this out.
Millennials are spending their time in media. Pretty dramatic in terms of amount of time in games, almost equal to, in some demographic, or equal to or greater than how people are spending their time on movies and television.
Again, like I know, like, I get fixated on this shit, but like watching the stock go up in real time, watching everybody be like, it's a fucking disaster. I can't. Regardless, the main takeaways there and why this is so important is he's talking about how millennials spend their time, and he said that it's almost equal to, and in some cases greater than, what they're spending on movies and television. And that's like another key thing here. That's another key thing to keep in mind. And when you really start to think about it, to me, it just kind of crystallized because I was like, wow, even people that don't like Lucasfilm currently will still want to have those experiences with Star Wars as IP, regardless of how the next 3 to 5 years shake out for Star Wars movie. The same thing is true of the Marvel content. Like, Marvel could literally just completely fall apart and people will still desire those experiences in this thing, like whatever this thing is. He called it a Disney universe. I think that's because they don't want to call it a metaverse anymore. That maybe because of Zuckerberg, maybe just because in general metaverse might not be that cool to say anymore. Like maybe that people just don't like that kind of shit. But that's what it is, right? And that's what they're looking to create. You look at their relationship with Apple, the fact that Bob Iger's there for Apple keynotes last year, the fact that Disney Plus is one of the day one apps on the Vision Plus Pro thingy, and you've got this crazy Imagineer thing coming out around the same time of the tiled floors. I mean, you put two and two together there, and it feels like they're building a Disney Ready Player One. And it just really struck me that as maybe media and the way consumers interact with that media changes. And I think, when you look at video games, one of the biggest differences between video game and a television show or a movie is the fact that the user has control over what the experience is, right? We go to see the next Star Wars movie. We go to see the next Marvel movie. We don't really have a lot of input on what that's like, how that changes. But when it comes to a video game, like the user has a lot more control. And I would argue that most games, especially ones that I think are going to thrive in this coming marketplace, are going to be the ones that offer the most control to the end user. And it's like, just kind of started to realize, man, it doesn't even matter as much what happens in the movie and television. This is actually a bigger deal. This is actually more important. And as much as they can, I would probably like keep the studios, keep Hollywood away from this technology. You know what I mean? So to me, I was just like, dude, this is massive. This really kind of made me think about the Disney IP in sort of a different way. And I think it's a large part of why the stock is up. And correct me if I'm wrong here, I believe Disney said they want to spend $60 billion on the parks in the next couple of years. And I wouldn't be surprised if you would see integrations in the actual parks with what they're doing with Epic, and kind of like the way that could manifest itself. I think the potential is huge, right? So I don't know. I guess I'll kind of end, the take there, and I'll see what you guys think. But my sort of overall thoughts are like, when I started to think about what this thing was, and more importantly, how the value of the IP was separated from the studios in Hollywood, I was like, damn, that's really interesting. Instead of fixing some of the things that maybe people don't like, what if they just put more emphasis and focus on what's arguably a way better way to have their brands and their IP become enjoyed or be interacted with from the consumer perspective? I was like, dude, this is it. Like this is their way out. You know what I mean? Of the current situation that they are in. I don't know. What do you think, guys?